we'll go ahead and get started. So again, my name is Shaniqua Blunt. I work for Child Care Associates. I am joined this evening by two of my colleagues, Jordan and Catherine. We wanted to bring this informational to you all to help share information about TEFA. We will use tonight's meeting as an opportunity for you all to hear information, as well as an opportunity for you to ask questions via the Q&A box. So if you'll just take a moment to locate that on your screen or your mobile device, feel free to drop any questions about the information you're hearing this evening, and we will answer those as best we can. But we are in good hands with Dr. Brown here, and so she is going to walk us through this evening's information and hopefully answer any questions that you might have about TEFA this evening. So, Dr. Brown?
Thank you, Shaniqua. Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Tahila Brown. I am working in partnership with OutSchool in partnership with the Comptroller's Office to provide families with information about the TEFA accounts. And so I want to pull up the slides for you all. Can everyone see the slides?
Yes, we can see them, Dr. Brown.
Perfect. Okay. So for this evening, we are going to walk through the TEFA program. I'm going to give you just a general program overview and then go into eligibility, talk about funding, the steps to apply and how to apply, selection process, Q&A. We have some time for that. We have some frequently asked questions. So we should be able to answer any questions you may have in the chat as well. So before we get into the actual program overview, I just wanted to make sure that everyone had this contact email. This is outschool@withodyssey.com. If in the process of completing your application, you have some questions and you just want to talk to a real person, you can email this email address. There is a 48-hour max response time. The response time has been pretty quick in getting someone to answer your questions for you as it pertains to application support. Okay, just general overview about the actual program. Essentially, it's just a new choice for your child's education. So the Education Savings Account essentially provides funds that are used for private school tuition, homeschool expenses, tutoring, or other approved costs. And just a reminder that these funds are awarded to be used for the 26-27 school year. The major question, does your child qualify? Your child will qualify for the TEFA funds if your child is a U.S. citizen or national or lawfully present in the United States, if they're eligible to attend a Texas public school or public schools free pre-K program. If it's a pre-K child, they must be between 3 years old as of September 1st, pretty much in line with the pre-K alignment for public preschool. And if it's a K through 12, they must be 25 to 25 years of age by September 1st. And the 25 really applies to the students with special needs who have not graduated yet. For the 26-27 school year, that's the participating school year, your child cannot be enrolled in a public school or public pre-K program. So again, these funds are for private school or homeschool outside of public school. The parent eligibility requirement, the applying parent just needs to be a Texas resident and have legal authority to act on behalf of the child, meaning a natural or adoptive parent or legal guardian. Want to get a little deeper into the pre-K eligibility because it's a little different than the K through 12 eligibility. So essentially, again, this is in line with free public school pre-K. And if they're eligible to attend free public school pre-K, then your child would be eligible for the TEFA funds. So students who qualify for public school pre-K, they have to meet one of the following currently. And that is economically disadvantaged. So that's either at or below 185% of the federal poverty line. The next slide, it's going to show you exactly what those numbers look like. Emergent and bilingual or unable to speak English well for an English classroom, homeless or foster care, a parent that is active duty military, activated or mobilized reserve, Texas National Guard, injured or killed while on active duty or missing in action. If the parent is a first responder who's received the Star of Texas Award, or if the parent is a classroom teacher in a district that has a free pre-K program. This slide just shows you the numbers. So the total household income for pre-K cannot be above 185% of the federal poverty guidelines. And this chart just outlines those numbers for you. You will also be able to find this chart at the website, educationfreedom.texas.gov will give you these income guidelines as well. So if you don't get it today. So we've talked about eligibility. Let's talk about funding. How much money will children receive in the TEFA accounts? So these are the potential funding amounts. Private school students, $10,474. If it is a student that has an IEP or a student with disabilities, that's up to $30,000. And then other non-public students and homeschoolers will get $2,000. This is an annual amount. It's dispersed in 3 disbursements. And in order to get the $30,000, the parent does have to submit the IEP or the individualized education plan that you get from the school district, and we'll go into that in the next couple of slides to detail it out for you. So how can you use the funds? First, the funds, they can be used at any and all of the following things on this screen, but from approved providers. So it can be used for tuition and fees. It can be used for uniforms, textbooks, private tutors. Again, these are all from approved providers. Education therapy, transportation to and from the approved provider, breakfast or lunch, and assessment and testing fees can also be used by these funds. Computer hardware or technology you can use the funds for, but it's capped at 10% of your total annual award amount. Now, how do you apply? You're going to apply at educationfreedom.texas.gov. If you have not applied already, don't fret, don't worry. The application opened February 4th. However, it is not a first come, first serve selection. It opened on the 4th. It closes on the 17th. You will need to apply by the 17th of March if you are interested in applying for TEFA funds. You will only apply once per family. The application should only take you about 10 to 15 minutes, and about 75% of families are able to apply right directly from their cell phones. So once all the applications are gathered, close date happens March 17th, and that's when all of the applications are reviewed at that time. This is a parent application checklist, again, that you can find on the website at educationfreedom.texas.gov. And this checklist just gives you all of the documents that you may need in order to apply. So it's handy to have next to you as you're applying on your phone or on your laptop. This document will be handy to have. This slide is just going to tell us about some of the documents that are necessary to verify and to submit proof of your child's present and lawful status, your residency, and your annual income. So for the child's and the parent's lawful presence, you can use the child's social security number, if the child has one, the ITIN for the parent, a birth certificate, the child's legal or permanent resident card. All of these are acceptable documents to use. For residency, if you have a real ID, in the next slide, we're going to show you an actual example of a real ID. It just has a star on it. If you have a real ID, it's as simple as putting your number in your application, and that's all you'll have to do. If you do not have the real ID, then you'll have to either use a utility bill, a lease or mortgage statement, or your voter registration certificate, and that will comply with your residency requirement documents. Total annual household income for verification, you will need the 1040. This is the simplest way to apply. So you'll need the 1040. This can be for 2024 or 2025 tax return. And if you don't have one, you'll need to go to irs.gov and do a free file there and get the 1040 to submit to verify household income. This is just a display of what the real ID looks like. You'll notice the star in the top corner. The symbol can be any of the stars that you see here. Now, if you have a driver's license from another state, you will need to verify your residency through some of those other documents that we've outlined. But if you have the real ID, it's as simple as putting in your ID number. So here are some specific questions to keep in mind as you're completing your application. You will need to know your child's current home school or the school that they're zoned to, that this is the public school. So you'll need to know, even if they're not attending public school right now, you'll need to know the school district that you're zoned to, and you'll need to know the actual campus, public school campus that your child is zoned to. And this is going to be for K through 12 students only. And then for your school selection, if you're not ready to pick a school right now, you can come back before March 17th to pick your school. If you haven't decided by March 17th and you are funded, then you will have until July 15th to choose a school for enrollment. This is important because that's when your account will be funded. And in order for your account to be funded, your school has to be verified for enrollment. So a school has to be chosen. Final deadline, July 15th. But if you know it by March 17th, when you complete your application, go ahead and put your school there. If you don't know it, it's okay to leave that blank, but you will have to know that before July 15th. If you don't see your school, continue to check back. We also encourage parents to talk to the actual school and ask them if they are planning to be a vendor, if they have applied to be a provider as well. The school finder is updated weekly, and applications are taken on a rolling basis. So if you don't find your school, just keep looking back because that school finder is regularly updated. Students with disabilities, this is important. If your child has an IEP or individualized education plan, you'll be asked to put their Texas unique ID in there. It's a UID number, and that is on the actual IEP. If you need assistance with that, we're here to help with that as well. It will also ask for an instructional code, and this can be found on the IEP as well. The instructional code essentially is just going to be the setting that your child is going to be in and the percentage of the school day that your child receives services. The instructional code is typically a number between up to 40 is typically what that number is in the instructional code. If you need assistance, again, we're here to provide some assistance with locating those numbers. The school district that created the IEP can also assist you in locating these numbers for you. So if we go a little further in just talking about how to provide proof of disability status. So you have a student, you know that your student has a disability. You can prove that your child has a disability in a number of these ways. This is if you do not have an IEP. If you have a current IEP, then you submit the IEP information. If you do not, then you can use an older IEP. So you can use one from last year or the year, sorry, not last year. You can use your 2024 IEP right now. 2024 or 2025 is valid to use right now. If you have an IEP from 2023, you can use that IEP. You can use a full and individual initial evaluation, which is the FIIE, that confirms an eligible disability. Or you can use a disability certification form, which again, you can find this form on educationfreedom.gov.texas. And this is just a PDF. It's signed by a licensed practitioner or your doctor. You just take them the form. They will fill out the form, check off the children, the disabilities that are applicable to your child. sign it, and then that form can be uploaded to your actual application. You do not need all of these. If you choose to do the disability certification form, then you don't need to submit an older IEP or the FIIE. If you have a IEP from 2024 or 2025, you can submit that, and that is all that you will need. Now, if you have an IEP that is expired or from 2023 or prior, you can use that to prove your disability status. However, that will not qualify you for additional funding up to the $30,000 that we talked about in the previous slides. The only way you can qualify for additional funding is if you have an IEP, a current IEP. You have to have a current IEP in order to qualify for additional funding. So that's important in understanding the disability status. The disability status with one of these three documents that you see here, the disability status helps with your priority. So you will still be prioritized, and we're going to go into those slides in a moment, but you will not be eligible for additional funding up to the $30,000 unless you have an actual current IEP. Okay. This is the disability form. If your practitioner is not sure how to fill it out, you can scan the QR code for instructions. It's pretty clear at the top of what to do. And again, this can be a licensed practitioner, or it can be your doctor that fills it out. When the doctor fills out or the licensed practitioner fills out the applicable disability, it's not necessary to just fill out all of them. The priority is not based on the number of disabilities that you have. So once this form is completed, signed, this form will be uploaded with your application, and it will move your priority in the selection process. This is just the additional information for pre-K families. Pre-K parents, when you're filling out your actual application, you'll want to make sure that you gather the documents that are here. Your 1040, of course, if we're talking about income, so it will need to be the less than the 185% FPL, and your 1040, that will prove that. It can be year 24 or 2025 again. If the child is a Star of Texas recipient, you just need the Star of Texas certificate. And if the child is an English learner, you just need the home language survey, and that's available online. If the parent's active duty military, activated, mobilized, reserve, or Texas National Guard, any of that category, just need a statement of service, line of duty determination document, Purple Heart orders, or other applicable citations if you have those available to prove that. And if a child is in foster care, this again referring to the pre-K families, a court order, adoption documents, the DFPS foster kinship placement orders will work, pre-K verification letter, or other valid proof of foster care will work as well. And here's additional information of where you can get your pre-K verification letter as well. So once you submit your application, the system will try to electronically verify your documents, but there are some times when they're not able to. So you may have to still manually upload some items by request, and they will either email or give you a call to let you know they're needing additional documents. Being eligible for or awarded TEFA funds does not guarantee you admission into a private school. It's very important that you ensure that you have applied for enrollment to a school before you actually receive your funds. You have to already have been admitted into the school to receive funds. So you'll need to identify a private school, and you have to go through their actual admissions process. And if you're interested in doing that, my recommendation is to do that now. And if you need to update your application as you're going along, you forget something or you want to add something, you can go back in and you can log in anytime before 11:59 p.m. Central Time on March 17th, 2026. If you receive an account, you do not need to reapply every year as long as you remain eligible to receive TEFA funds, meaning that you will not have to resubmit income. You will just have to be in good standing with the program and answer yes or no if you want to continue with the program. This is the lengthy part in just the priority group. So once all the applications are in, March 17th, all the applications are in, then the actual prioritization begins. So this is how the applications are prioritized. In priority group 1, it's going to be children with a disability. So those are children that have filled out the disability form, they have an IEP, or they have an IEP that's expired. Any of those documents to prove disability, that's going to be this group of children that are prioritized. They're members of a household with a total annual income that is at or below 5% of the federal poverty guidelines. So for our purposes tonight, and there's a chart that I'm going to flip to right after this, I outlined for a family of 4 as an example. So in priority group 1, a child with a disability, and then a family of 4 with an income of $165,000 a year or below would go into priority 1. That's for a family of 4. In priority 2, it's children who are members of a household that have a total income that is at or below 200% of the federal poverty guidelines. And again, for our purposes tonight, I did a family of 4, and that's going to be families that are at or below 200%, which for a family of 4, that's going to be $66,000 a year. For priority 3, it's children who are members of a household with a total income that is above 200 and below 500%. So for a family of 4, it's between $66,000 a year and $165,000 a year in priority 3. And then lastly, priority 4 are members of a household with a total annual income that is at or above the 500%. And for a family of 4, again, that's at or above the 165,000. Siblings can be put on the same application. And if one sibling is accepted, all of the siblings will be accepted in that group as well. So it's important that all siblings are listed on the same application, or it's going to be very hard for them to link them. And this is just the 2026 federal poverty levels. Again, outlines those percentages I just went through, but with the household size at the top. And again, all of this information is at educationfreedom.texas.gov for review. So lotteries and wait lists and what happens if you are not funded. So it's important to note that not every eligible child who applies may have their account funded. So once you submit all of your information and you apply, you'll get a response back that says if you're eligible or if you're not eligible. Eligible does not mean that you're actually going to be funded. So if the eligible applications exceed the available funding for the year, then that's when this lottery and prioritization system is used to determine admission. So once the application window closes, then each group will be funded based on the prioritization criteria that we just went through in the previous slide. So if there are more applicants than available funding, then students are then randomized within their priority group, and those students not selected are then put on a wait list. Just some important information for the program timeline, notification, and funding. Each student is funded 3 times. I think we talked about that earlier in the slide. So there'll be a funding in July, in October, and then in April. The application is open, but again, if you want to apply, it's not too late. You have until March 17th at 11:59 p.m. to apply. At this time, by March 17th, you'll need to indicate if your child will attend a private school or another public educational setting, which can be the homeschool, to establish your funding amount. What's important here is if you choose a private school and then choose to do homeschool, maybe the private school, you changed your mind. That is okay. You can go in and you can update your status. But if you choose homeschool, you cannot go from homeschool then to private school. You need to have an IEP on file with the Texas Education Agency to determine eligibility for that additional funding. So as we talked about in the previous slides, in order to receive additional funding, you have to have an actual current IEP or individualized education plan. After the applications close, then Odyssey will conduct a lottery for each of the priority groups. And then in early April, those notifications for accounts that have been funded, those participants will be notified. June 1st is the initial deadlines for parents to select a private school. So all this means is by June 1st, if you have went in and you've selected the private school that your child is going to go to, then Odyssey can go ahead and start funding those accounts in July. The final deadline is July 15th. So if you don't have your private school by June 1st, you still have till July 15th to secure that school. And that is you applied, you're enrolled, so that the school can also verify your enrollment. And this June 15th, that's the initial deadline for schools to confirm enrollment. So those people that selected their schools by June 1st, then June 15th, the private school can say, yes, they definitely are enrolled in our school. And then again, the final deadline for schools is July 31st to confirm parents' enrollment. So you will have to choose your final deadline of July 15th, and then the schools will have to verify your choice as well. July 1st, the first round of funding comes, and it will be available on Odyssey's platform. And then the final deadline will be mid-August for funding. As you're applying, you'll see this option to find schools. This is the School and Services Finder tool. And this is what I talked about a little earlier, in that it's updated weekly and applications are taken on a rolling basis. So schools can apply. Same thing with vendors. There'll be a space for parents to search vendors. But this is the School Finder where you can find school and services. It's also on the actual website that you can go and kind of play with it and click on and see which schools in the area. It is separated by city. So you can just click on the city and then you can see what schools have already been approved for the program. Odyssey also has a chat bot that is great for just general questions that you may have, that you may think about. You can click on that chat bot and it answers you pretty quickly if you have particular questions about application, your 1040 or other items within the application as you're filling it out. Also on the website, you'll find a parent application walkthrough. So this video will walk you through start to finish on the application, and will also give you some tips and tell you what you should be putting in and things to consider as you're going through the application. This is the actual application that you'll see in demo. Okay, we went through that pretty quick. I'm going to just go through some frequently asked questions, and then I'll return back over to see if we have questions on the chat that I can answer for you. One of the frequently asked questions that we typically get is, if I don't have an IEP for my child, will my child still be eligible to apply? The answer is yes, your child still is eligible to apply. You can just get the disability certification form filled out that's on the website, and have the licensed practitioner or a doctor fill that out, submit that with your application, and you can still apply as a student with a disability. Now, you just will not be eligible for the additional funds if you do not have an actual IEP. You can also use an expired IEP in that first question as well, or the evaluation. If I receive the IEP after the application deadline, which is March 17th, can I still upload it into my application? The answer to this is no. If you don't receive the IEP from the school district by March 17th, then you'll have to wait till the following year to add that to your application to receive the additional funds. If my child has a public school IEP on file, will I need any other documents for proof of disability? No. If your child has a public IEP, a public school IEP on file that is current or 2024, you will not need any other documents for proof of disability. And again, the second question, and who can complete the TEFA disability certification form, and that is a doctor or a licensed practitioner can complete the form. And do you need to apply for each child? You need to add each child to your application that is eligible. So pre-K, if they're eligible to those pre-K standards, and K through 12. And do you need to reapply every year? No, you will not reapply every year. You will just, if you're in good standing with the program, you will just indicate whether you want to continue or not. So there's no more income verifications and all those forms to complete. What if my child's school isn't approved? If your child's school isn't approved now, you should frequently check with the school to see if they are indeed planning or have already applied. And then you should check back at the school finder that it's updated weekly. And what if my child does not get into the private school we choose? So if you apply, you go through this process, you receive TEFA funds, and you chose a school and you don't get into that school, you can switch schools. You would just need to ensure that the school you switch to is an approved provider, and you can switch schools. Those funds stay with the child. Can I receive additional funding if my child has a disability, but I'm choosing to homeschool? The answer to this question is no. If you're choosing to homeschool, the max amount for homeschool is $2,000 a year. And if I complete the TEFA application, is my child automatically enrolled in the approved school I choose? No, you have to go through the school's enrollment process to be enrolled in the actual school. Can I go back and edit my child's application before the deadline? Absolutely, you can. If my child does not have an IEP, then how do I get one? If your child needs an IEP, then you would need to contact your school district that you are zoned to request an IEP. This next question kind of flows into if you have a 2-year-old that's currently 2, but they'll be 3 by September 1st, they will not have an IEP or have access to get an IEP. You would need to go through early child intervention, and early child intervention will complete an individual family service plan and go through the steps with you on how to acquire an IEP for your child. This last contact email is the contact email for, again, Odyssey outschool@withodyssey.com. And that is if you have questions as you go along that just need to be answered, you can feel free to reach out to us, or you can reach out to the chat bot as well if it's a quick question. But if you want an actual person, you can feel free to email outschool@withodyssey.com. And if you would like to just stay up to date with the Texas Education Freedom accounts, this is just a QR code that you can scan for more information.
All right. Dr. Brown, are you covering this, or do you need me to hop in there and take some of this on?
I definitely can, and you can just add the additional details.
Okay.
So here's some upcoming events for you all. In-person parent info session. So from Child Care Associates at 3000 East Belknap, Fort Worth, Texas. That's Wednesday, 2/18. If you want to take a picture, feel free. There's also a link to register. There's a TEFA community meeting for providers and parents, both welcome. That's Saturday, February 28th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. There's also a pre-K parent application webinar in Spanish. It's virtual, Thursday, February 26th from 6 to 7. And then a TEFA community meeting again with providers and parents welcome, the Southeast Branch Library on Saturday, March 7th from 11:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m.
Thank you. And for those, just to add a little bit, we do ask that you all follow. We'll put some information where you can follow some of our social media, because we're going to be adding more dates. So this is what we have confirmed as of now, but there will be more dates to come.
There's also a TEFA early learning website. Should be very helpful, especially in the early learning space and the pre-K eligibility.
All right, so we've got about 3 minutes, and I don't know if it's a better use of our time to go ahead and just help parents to understand how they can connect with us in the community. We will be at a library near you. We are still finalizing some of the details, but we do encourage you to follow our social medias, and we will link those in the Q&A, where you can see either one, how to schedule time to meet with one of us at a local library. We also have virtual appointments, and we do have bilingual family liaisons that can support families that have questions about accessing this program. And so we really want to help to connect you to information. And if there's something we don't know the answer to, we will definitely work really hard to get the answers to you. So please do be on the lookout for that. And again, for our child care providers, our child care community, we hear you, we see you. We will make for sure that we offer some time for us to get acquainted and to walk back through those requirements for providers. There are a couple of Saturday events that we will host. Those were on the screen a few moments ago, where we hope to bring families and providers together so you all can have an opportunity to talk and to just get to know one another, and families can shop around, because we know that school choice, like trying to figure out an option for your child, that's a big responsibility, and we want to help to connect very passionate educators with families that are eager to learn more about their work and their services. And so let's see. Yeah, it's 6:59. Is there anything else, Dr. Brown, that you will want to leave this group with, or it's mic drop and you've done the hard part?
There's tons of support available from you all. There's tons of support from OutSchool. There's a lot of support available. So please don't feel alone, whether you're a parent or a provider and looking for an answer. There's a lot of support to help you. So just reach out. We're here.
All right, well, this brings us to the end of this evening's informational session. We do thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with us. We deeply appreciate the engagement, the really great questions, and we look forward to connecting with you. And if you need any help, please do not hesitate to reach out. We are here to serve. So hope you all have a wonderful evening, and take care.